Alright, so this is just an introduction to Unity. I'm just going to go over the user interface, nothing too exciting. So first off, obviously, I don't know what version of Windows you have or if you're using a Mac, but it's, let's see, go down here, and since it's Unity, it's going to be a U, so that makes things a little bit easier. Let me see, here we go, Unity, and I got the latest one as of today, which is the 29th, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that Unity. Why is that not giving me, it's weird. Okay, we'll use 5.3. So I'm just going to go ahead and open that up. Oh, there's 5.4 right there. Well, anyway, it doesn't change that much between different versions here. So it's going to open up very slowly. I'm going to pause while it does that. So this window is going to come up. Hopefully it won't if you're at school, but if it does at home, you just want to put in your what you use to make your account when you downloaded it. So I am not entirely, oh, okay, I was lucky. So then if you have any projects, you can open up ones that you've already made. Oh, we don't need that actually. 1 second. All right, so if you already have a project, you would start it here, but assuming you have nothing in here, unless you have like the example project, you can just go ahead and, or if you got to open up one, but I'm going to go ahead and click new. And then generally speaking, it's always good to just work off the desktop because then you can drop and drag it where you need it, okay? Now, you just name it here. So what it's going to do is it's going to make one folder, and it's going to put all the subfolders that automatically need to be made. So it's similar to making a Maya project folder, or if you use InDesign to packaging. But basically, it's automatically going to have a folder structure that it utilizes. So in our case, I'm just going to just call this like Unity. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? Instead of making a new one, I was going to do Unity introduction. I'm going to go ahead and do the standards asset examples. Because that way you can kind of see everything that's there. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not going to do that because you can't follow along if you do it that way. So I'm just going to call it a Unity example project. Okay. And now you have the option of doing 2D or 3D. It actually doesn't make any difference, honestly, because all it really does is just makes the default camera like basically an orthographic or a perspective view. So you can switch it on the fly in there, but it just tries to set up the interface to be useful in that regard. I'm going to go ahead and just go 2D just to make it simpler. So I'm going to go ahead and create the project, and it's going to subsequently make the little folder here. You can see it popped right up, and then it's going to open up the window. So, and here we go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and open up that folder. So you can see, put it over here. It made all these subfolders. So assets, which is basically where you're going to put all of your 3D, your 2D assets, any graphics, just your content generally. The library, when you download stuff, it'll go into there, your project settings, and your temp. But pretty much the only folder you're really going to need to utilize is this assets. And then subsequently, I would add folders inside of this one. So you'd make a folder that says scripts, and you make a folder that says whatever, 2D graphics, and so on and so forth. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and maximize this. All right, so this is the interface as we can see it. This is Unity. Now, if you have the Pro version, it's like a darker gray, so you may, depending on how they downloaded yours, this is obviously a personal version, so it's for individuals. So anyway, it's lighter. One of the things that's nice also that I should have mentioned before, so when you download this, you're not downloading an educational version. You're downloading a personal version. And what that means is that you can actually make a game on this and sell it. And until you make, I think it's like 100,000, you don't have to pay them anything. So you can actually make content in here, and you don't necessarily pay royalties or anything else until later on down the road. Okay, so it makes this thing here. Don't worry, just click on Spectre. We don't care about the services window. So on the top here, you have your normal file stuff. You can save a scene, you can save the project, so on and so forth. So the way it works is that this is one project, and then inside of my project, I can have different scenes. So a scene is basically like a level, right? So if you have your first level and you're playing Mario, that would be the first level, like just going through and you get to the little end castle and you jump on the flag and you go out of there. That's one level. So you'd say that as one scene. And then the next scene would be another one. and that would be the next level. Okay, so that's kind of how scenes are, but the overall project would be Mario, you know, or Mario 2 or what. I don't know how to play Mario, but that kind of a thing. Okay, so that's why there's the scenes in here. But your thing is the project. This is one project. Edit has your typical stuff like your cut and paste, but really you should probably know Control C, Control V, that whole 9 yards, Control D for duplicate, those sort of things. There's also some preferences and settings that you can also change in here. Assets deal with what you basically think. Allows you to import assets and other things. So you can import your own assets, or you can import packages. Some of them are built into this, and basically what these are like pre-built. Like it'll have trees, or it will have controllers. So like a first-person controller. You can see there's vehicles. They're like basic things that you might need, but it's good not to import them right off the bat because it's just more that your program, the program has to run each time. So we try not to do any of these yet. Game object are the objects of the game. So it's kind of like if you're looking at, let's say a 3D, you know, you have your 3D objects. You can make a cube, a sphere, a capsule, different objects. You have 2D objects, which is more or less a sprite. And all a sprite means is just like a 2D image. We'll get into sprites later on. Lights, audio, the stuff that's in your scene, right, is your game object. Components are the components you can put on your objects in the game scene. So basically, just as, like, let's say you're in After Effects and, you know, you can have an image, but, you know, you can go underneath and you have, like, the properties in the timeline there, and you have your different transforms. You have, you know, your rotate, your scale, opacity, whatever. Those are different transforms that you can do. Those are components of that object. You can also add more components onto it, right? Because you can add effects, right? So I can add a color effect, a hue, saturation, lightness effect onto it, right? And that's another component I've added to that image in After Effects. And each one of those are components. You can do the same thing here. So I can make a 3D object like a cube, right? And you can see it right here. And then I can go to components and I can add a rigid body to it. And now it has this rigid body. By default, it had these components, kind of your typical ones, right? So there's one that says transform. All right, and this is the inspector. I'll get this in a second, but a transform, so basically position, rotate, and scale. Same thing you would see in any 3D world space. The filter, this basically is how it's the mesh, okay? Box collider, so basically it has like physics that can allow it to be hit, okay? And the renderer, so basically the materials that are attached to this get attached there. And then the rigid body allows it to have gravity, and physics applied to it besides just collision. Okay, it's like now if I hit play, it may or may not drop. Oh, I don't have a camera in here. Whoops, they switched that out. Okay, I don't know where it went. Let's see. F is frame, by the way, just like it is in Maya. Oops, there we go. Okay, so anyway, so these have components, and basically you can add more components in here, and there's a bunch of them. The other way to do is actually in the inspector. You can just add them there. I don't know if I've really ever used these. Window is the same thing as be windows in any other program where, like, you know, if you go into window in Photoshop, you know, you'll have all the different panels in here. That's what these all represent. So you see inspector over there. If I click on this, well, if for some reason I close this out, close tab, I could go into window and do inspector, and then there it is, inspector gadget, and then you can grab the middle. And I'm going to drag it over here. Let's see, get it in there. There you go. And you can grab these tabs and you can tear them off. You can add them in different places, however you want to format this. Generally is how that works. Okay, so window is basically all of the things that you see here. You can see like console. There's console. You see hierarchy. Here's the hierarchy panel. You know, project is down here. Like all of the panels that are here are basically in window, and then help is your typical help stuff. There really isn't anything too useful in there other than the scripting reference, but I find it actually easiest to use the internet for that, and I'll show you that later on. But that's your typical kind of stuff up here. Now you can do the whole hand like this and the move here, right? But you don't want to be using these to like rotate and everything. That's just ridiculous. Get out of that habit, okay? What I want you to do instead is the W, right? E and R. Okay, and then T, I guess, is scale, or no, it's not scale. I don't know what that is. But basically, I want you to do the Q, W, E, R. All right. not the other options here. So just like you normally do in Maya, right? So WER. So don't use these up here. So that's good. Over here is your hierarchy. So basically everything that's currently in my scene that is made, you can see I have one thing that has all the things that are currently existing inside of the game on this scene, okay? Specifically this scene. And you can create new objects right in here. It's the same as doing it up here. All right. Then you have the scene. So this is the scene view. All right. There are options here, just like you would have like shaded and wireframe and all that other stuff. Right now we're in 2D view, which basically means it's orthographic, but watch, if I turn this, it's now 3D view. And you navigate just like you do in Maya. So it's Alt, left mouse button to rotate, middle mouse button to pan, right mouse button to zoom in and out. You can also use your wheelie. The one cool thing you can do though in here that you can't do in Maya is that if you hold right click like this, you just hold right click, I'm not hitting anything else, and then watch, I can use my WASD just like you would a video game, and you can almost like run around in the game kind of, which is kind of neat, which I like because it's actually pretty similar. You can strafe. It's actually kind of similar to a video game, so you can kind of interact with it in a more natural way. So that might be something that you might like. I've noticed that people tend to code a lot will use that form of navigation because they know how to play video games. People who are already working in 3D typically do, you know, this way, the way that I'm used to. But it's nice that that's an option. Okay. Yeah. So that's this. This is obviously that. Here's your little view cube thing. There's the asset store, which basically connects to the internet, and there's a bunch of assets that you can just download. Some of them cost money, some of them don't. And when I say assets, that means anything from like models to scripts, right? So code, to textures, to graphics, to really anything. It's really slow though. But you can type in and search. There's a lot of stuff that's free, a ton that's free, but there's also stuff that costs money. So basically, it's like a micromanaging system, and it lets you, and things will be on sale, and they have little pre-made things, and it's nice. It's cool. It's a good way to get things out quickly. I've used it for lots of things. It definitely might be useful for you as well. The game window is the actual display of the game. So this is almost like if you were in Maya or another 3D package. You know, this would be your working camera, but this isn't what the user is actually going to view the game view in. He's gonna or she's going to view it from the game view. And right now it says no cameras rendering because there is no cameras. So I'm gonna create a camera, and now I have a camera, and you can see it's in my scene, and now that's where it's viewing from, and I can actually see it right there, right? So I'm just gonna take it and move it back here. And now when I go into game, I can see my cube, okay? But this is going to be the player, right? So if I hit play, you'll see, boom, and then there it drops because I put that rigid body on there, all right? So that's what that is for. That's the game view. Animator we'll get into later, but basically it deals with setting up boxes that allow you to blend animations from one to another, and when to turn them on and when to turn them off, right? So like if I want to move forward, I might use the arrow key forward. Well, once it's pressed, I need it to start moving forward at a certain speed, that kind of a thing. Okay. So up here is the, like, I don't know what it's called. It's like the play buttons. So basically the way it works, you're not going to really use this one. This is go to the next scene. We're not doing that anyway. But if you hit play, it'll automatically start the game from the beginning. And it'll play, right? Now, if I hit pause, it will pause the game as it currently stands, okay? And you can see that that box is now on the ground way down here. I don't know if you can see it, okay? Let's see if I can get the camera back. All right, so it fell. Now I can go back and unpause and let it keep playing. The problem is if I make any changes here, like watch, if I shift, actually let's just say I take this and I put this over here, right? As soon as I unplay, it'll go right back to where it was. So any changes you make while you're still in that play mode is not going to save. So make sure you stop it entirely. Like none of these should be engaged. Pretty much you're really just going to use this play button. I never use the pause button. Unless like something weird, I'm like, what's going on? I might pause it and then look in the game and see what is happening. But never make any changes because they don't save while it's paused. Okay? Or at least it will while you're working, but as soon as you unplay it, you'll lose everything you made. Alright? Okay, so, now you can see actually, depending on the object you have selected, see the camera here as different inspector options. If I have the cube, it has different inspector options. I'm going to pause this here and then we'll continue the video with the next one, and then you'll have a rough introduction to the Unity's interface.